Hi, good evening. Okay, slightly late today, 4 minutes off the clock, right? And of course, this was supposed to have been a joint presentation tonight, but because, of course, the month itself has already started today, so we're going to talk a lot, in fact, right, about the details of the month ahead, which started yesterday, in fact, not today, right? Today is actually Lionsgate, so we'll touch base on that. But it is a very powerful month. It is very deep, and it is very, how to say, I guess the words would be movement, changes, dynamism, if there's such a word, and also overall, I mean, to be frank, right, the energy of instability. So I don't know if you're already feeling this, if you're early, right, do give me some feedback, what your thoughts are, having already started the month, because this forecast, official forecast, is a bit late for this round, right, because of our schedules and things like that. And speaking of schedules, I know those of you who are on early, okay, if you're already with me right now, that's just a whole bunch of you now. Give me a couple of things. So give me some feedback to make sure that the sound is okay, the video is all right. I think, okay. Yeah, Jessie on the side has already given me the thumbs up.
I'll see them later. I mean, next day.
So once again, for those of you who were expecting Jessie to be here with me, unfortunately, she couldn't make it for a couple of reasons, and also because one of it is just the practicality of
information now. A couple of reasons.
wait, don't disturb my train of thought. It's just because I have so much to share with you because it's such an interesting month, right? And speaking of which, if you are already in our email database list, you would have gotten, of course, not just our marketing emails, but our monthly newsletter as well. So the monthly forecast, the newsletter written version, also by yours truly, myself, was already released earlier this week. So you see the layers of energy there. But of course, with a face-to-face occasion and opportunity, it is much easier for me to share, right, compared to typing it all out in a very lengthy way. So I always am reminded, not just by myself, but also by my team, is okay, Kong Yu, make sure you don't go too long and don't go too technical in the newsletter, because, you know, people have to actually read it, right? And as we know, period 9, attention spans have always been short for human beings, but now as ever at its peak in terms of the shortest attention span for all of us, right? So it's much easier when you get a visual cue and you can see. So that's why I will be sharing more layers of the technicalities with you today, okay? And speaking of sharing, right, if you don't mind, and if you think that this information can benefit the people on your timeline, if you don't mind sharing on your timeline, that would be much appreciated as well, okay, before we actually begin. So please do that. And like I said, I would love to hear your comments, your contribution and your energy exchange in today's session. It always helps me. Chui Ling has said hi to you, Chui Ling, right? And I've got Tai Nyo Wei as well, right? I know there's something that we have to send to you, so that will be sent ASAP, right? And those of you, like I said, if you just joined me right now, Jessie couldn't make it on board for today's session, also because we decided that there was a lot of information already to share and we weren't going to be able to pack everything in together, okay? So let's get right into it. So we're going to dive deep, and it's a very powerful month. It's a very emotionally triggering month as well. I don't know if you felt it already, right? I was talking to a couple of clients throughout this week, and they have certainly felt it also, definitely in terms of the energy, right? And Jacqueline is here right now with us. That's right, it is 888. It is Lionsgate today, right? The day after the official transition into the August Water Monkey Month, which was yesterday. And let's actually begin with this, because this wasn't part of the presentation, which Jessie probably would have spoken a little bit on the Lionsgate, because she did a pretty detailed post on her page, which I then conveniently copied over to my page. Right, so Lionsgate, of course, happens on 8th of August every single year. It's based on the solar alignment, right? Because it doesn't shift per se, because it's based on the alignment of Earth towards the star Sirius, right? And it's all about the connection back to our soul, right? Spiritual soul. So, of course, it's associated with the position of the sun in relation to planet Earth's orbit around the sun, right? So that's why it occurs back on the same date. It's got to do with the solar part of our lives, which is the outward the dynamic part of our life, right, as opposed to the lunar part, which is about inwards and inner work and those aspects of life, right? And also, what is important about it is that it is about this particular timing of the year, which, of course, because it's more related to a Western astrology concept, right? It is related to the star sign of Leo. So right now we are in Leo season, right, which is the similar concept of being an animal sign. For example, August 7th transited the entry into the monkey, which is a plus minus, it will be plus minus 1 day occurring around the same time as the transition of the midpoint, right, of Leo season, which is on August 8 itself. So that's why it's always associated with Leo. And the Leo energy is always associated with the masculine nature of our soul, which is, again, because it's masculine, it's yang, and it's related to outwardness. So that's why encompassed together with the whole idea of understanding better this particular point of time, right? For us, of course, in Chinese astrology, it's the movement into the monkey month, coming out of the goat month, right? So we'll talk about that transition because it's a very important transition every year, but this year is very unique. So more details coming up, right? But the August 8 itself being in the smack middle of Leo season, associated with, of course, the sign of the lion, the soul, the masculine physical self, right? So that's why it's got to do with what we want to achieve. It's got to do with our personal empowerment, and also on the yin side of things, right? Which is the shadow side. You can also see it that way, right? It is also associated with the ego. So that's why you would notice that there will be a lot of the flare-ups, right? Especially since the Leo sign itself, right? The monkey sign itself is empowered, it is charged up. It's got a lot of connection to the other fire signs, right? Which, of course, for Chinese astrology, we are in a year where fire is on the weak side, but we've had 2 months of very strong fire, right? In June and also in July, in the months of the horse and also the months of the goat. And then we see that on the Chinese astrology perspective. From the Western astrology perspective, which I'll delve a little bit more into, right, we see the combination of the fire signs happening, right, between, of course, the season itself, which is basically Leo, right, interacting with the fiery dynamism of Mars, and then also with Jupiter. So that's why it is particularly charged up, which is good for our own awareness of what we want to achieve. But at the same time as well, don't forget there's a shadow side. The shadow side is essentially our egos are also easily triggered during this particular moment. So that would be one main theme of this particular season of the Lion's Gate, right? So I just wanted to cover that up because it's all about, like the connection of our soul, right, with the alignment of the portal, right, back to our spiritual sun, which is Star Sirius, right? And this is a reconnection opportunity that happens annually. But this year, because it happens in conjunction with a whole load of different things, each of which I will uncover, right, coming up. So that's why it's even more powerful. And to set the tone, right, this is where we need to just balance off. Yes, it's great that we're empowered much more during this point of the year compared to other years. That's definitely a big plus in terms of the deep alignment work that this whole dragon year affords to us, and the work that we need to do within the next few months so that we are much better prepared. I know we talk about preparation for years, 2-3 years leading up to this year, right? Preparing, making breakthroughs and all that. But this year, when we move through the year of the dragon, right, as I was sharing with my clients, right, you can see that it is a very interestingly layered, powerful year, which is non-linear. Non-linear in the sense that, normally we look into what? We look into growth in spring, and then we look into fruition, ripening in summer, and then we look into harvesting in autumn, and then after that we look into contemplation and drawing the essence of the year, what's transpired in the previous 9 months in winter, so that then when the next year rolls around, we start afresh again. So every year we're supposed to have those general seasonal energy, and if we grow with it, we move with it, we will grow as people and human beings and as souls living in our physical body, right? But not every year you have a very linear transition like that, especially in Jia Chen, this particular year, which if you look through, right, basically is always the first year of period 9, right? So very interesting, very powerful, right? And if you've been following the monthly updates, you see that, well, I thought, spring is supposed to do this, summer, this is supposed to happen, and then now autumn, we're supposed to be harvesting, right? And we're supposed to, in a way, really get to Shen, which is monkey month, right? Which is associated with Keng metal mostly, all about the last actions to get what we have been planting and fruiting, right? All throughout the rest of the year, but it's not. All right, it is, in fact, it gets into a very strong metal water type of energies, especially for this point in the year, because we're not supposed to have naturally strong water until closer to winter, right? But no, right? This is where we're going to get an onslaught of it, and it's already started because the official transition is actually yesterday. Okay, so quick hellos as we bring up the slides for today, right? To also to Chumpon, right, for joining me on the page, right, and also I'll just keep updated right here on Jesse's page also. So those of you who have just joined me, welcome to the official forecast. I know it's slightly late, it's about one day after the transition, but this was the fastest we could do, right? Hi to speaker of Sirius, hi to Sirius Bright as well. Right, so let's get on with the rest of the layers of the multi-layered energy, very, very powerful, right, for starting off autumn 2024, right? So we have Ren Shen as the first month, right, moving into a fresh new season, and very drastically so, with many other aspects. Okay, so a deeper look into the Ren Shen itself. So we have water. This is very important, right? The Ren water, which is basically the growth of it is contained, or rather it is underpinned or contained in the monkey itself, right? Those of you who are familiar with the parts, so the monkey contains the growth of water. That's how they would say it technically, right? But normally you see this, okay, so it starts to seed water for the coming months, if we're looking at it from a monthly perspective, coming years, if we look at it from the annual perspective. It starts to seed it. But in this case, because it already comes with it appearing on top, the Ren water is out on top, sitting nicely as a heavenly stem, water monkey. Ren water on Shen, it is already out. Okay, which means that it is here. And it is particularly important because we have essentially just pretty much finished summer, right? 2 days ago, it was actually the end of summer. And suddenly, we're not only in autumn, but we're also in a potentially stronger water as we start to roll in the days from yesterday onwards. Right, so it comes in much more fast and spills in, and it will be peaking already, right? Quite at its peak by the time the full moon comes in on around August 19th or 20th. Right, so that is a very, very powerful feature that's actually happening as we speak. Right, so you start to see it, and I'm sure you have felt it as well. Emotions, of course, is related to water, right? And also whatever that is, how to say, it is niggling us, right, in terms of our feelings, emotions, and so on, right? It is basically due to the water energy, suddenly so strong, right? Coming out of just fresh out of summer season. So that's one, okay? Now looking at other aspects of this, now it's the start of autumn. That's the monkey month itself right now. And it's also really called a sky horse month, which is about movement, right? Not necessarily just travel, but it's about dynamism, it's about changeability, it's about instability overall. So that's the sky horse energy. And of course, it's a growth. It's a growth month as well, particularly for water. But again, because the water already appears with it, so it is here, right? Usually it's an indication for so. But speaking of indication, it will, of course, indicate the state of stability of emotions, right? You can also associate it with the other qualities of water. We'll talk about those coming up. Those are already being, you can say, seeded, right? And also started to have the connection to the energy that's related to the essence of winter, which is where water is the strongest. So it actually starts now, right? And there will be very dynamic months ahead as well before we even get to the winter season within the year itself, okay? So here, metal producing water, right? So you see the seeds of the anchor of, or the resource of water, because it's the growth star itself. And of course, in the cycle of the 5 elements, metal produces water, already is present together. So that's very, very powerful, right? So that's going to be a very, very main theme to basically remind yourself on what does metal produce water mean? There are many layers to it. Okay, so we'll come to those. Right, quick hellos to Melvi and also to Tammy. Right, let me just quickly refresh this also. And now we just want to recap. Just for those of you who have not followed my regular formal forecast, right? So I try to do this every month within this setting where we are at home base, where we have the projection screen and the whole system to give the details in a visual sense. If not, it's much harder to communicate, right? Non-visually on the technicalities. So this is something that I like to remind ourselves of, because we have to always put the perspective of the months to how the year or what the year is all about. So because the year is the king, the Grand Duke of the entire year, and our evolution, our soul, right, which is basically responding to the year's energy, right? It's all tied into the year's energy. So just as a recap, of course, Wood Dragon year, and the theme itself is basically the Yang Wood or Jia Wood that sticks out. It's a very important concept overall because it's the first of the heavenly stems, the Tai Ko, of all the 10 heavenly stems, and it starts off period 9. So that's why Jia Wood, whatever Jia Wood means to you, that's the theme that is prevalent for the entire year, and the rest of the months come in to change this and affect it, right? And then of course, speaking of the animal sign of the month, the monkey this month is going to interact with the Tai Sui, which is basically the dragon. And within the dragon itself, very powerful. It contains so many layers to it all by itself. It, of course, naturally, just like all other animal signs, right? The challenges and the lessons of our lives, the core of it basically is contained in the animal sign itself. That overcoming of these challenges and lessons gives us the opportunity, right? Whatever that you want to see and what to code it with, what opportunity to expand our energy, right? Opportunity to work on our, once we are able to overcome the challenges, which of course contains the core lessons of that animal sign, then we convert the energy of the animal sign into an opportunity for whatever it is, right? You name it, right? To enlarge our energy so that when we give that energy exchange back out to the world, we get back money, we get back abundance, we get back the comforts of life, love, and so on and so forth, right? Quick hello to Poling and also to Mei Chan. Thanks for joining me, right? And anyone else who is here, like Wei Ling, right? As well. Okay, so that's just a recap. Now, we always have to put then the perspective of the month when we look at it from a pillar to pillar perspective back to the Tai Sui itself. So now we look at the August within the Wood Dragon month. So we know that the wood the water monkey kickstarts the autumn season, but due to its interaction with the dragon itself, right, it is basically the presence of two of the animal signs contained in what we call the water combination, right? And due to the arrangement of this one animal sign of the monkey, which is a growth star, interacting with this one core Tai Sui energy, the animal energy that is basically in the earth animal sign, the graveyard storage animal sign of the dragon, the presence of these two basically denote and already basically what we call silent push out a rat in between, right? Which is the dominant, which is the basically the leader of the water element combination, right? The tree or the tree harmony combination element, which means that there is a rat that is hovering there. Now, what does that mean? Okay, it will really depend on your personal chart and etc. etc. But overall, in terms of the elements, it basically is heightening water, right? Because the rat is the king and the leader and the whatever, king, queen, whatever you call it, of the water frame of animals, okay? Which means that the presence of water is strong, okay? And will be exponentially so as we roll towards the middle of the month of August itself, yeah? And why? Because it is associated, or it is led, or it is triggered, activated by the water that is contained or out revealed with the month pillar itself. It's the water monkey month after all, right? It could have been any other month, but this year, when you stack up the months as they roll around, you get a water monkey month, right? And you get this producing feel throughout many months of the year as well, okay? So how, right? Suddenly there is I almost call it a deluge, but it's a deluge that builds over the course of 2 weeks, starting early August, and then we'll be right up to the full moon, about August 19th, 20th, and so on into the second half of the month as well. Suddenly the water comes in from nowhere, you can see it that way, and then it starts to accumulate quite fast, right? That's a very, very interesting transition for this year, right? So like for example here, so we see that, you see in summer, right, starting with a very interestingly opportunistic but challenging May, right? And then we see again, like I was saying, a lot of producing, earth producing heaven. So in this May, for example, you see the snake producing the earth element of the earth on top. Now, what does it mean? We've already covered it during that forecast, right? Or back in the few months ago. And then when we roll through to June and July, of course, June is a little bit more unique because we have a nice appearance of Keng metal with the yin fire in there, but of course earth by itself naturally is strong already. And then in July again we have a very nice producing cycle, a birthing metal cycle, earth birthing metal, right? And what does it mean? It's an opportunity, but it's also a trap, right, for all of us. So but the core is that you see that it is metal starting to appear on top, but because it's anchored down by very hot and dry animal signs, right? And in a year that is fairly dry overall, with a drop of water locked in the dragon, and suddenly we roll to autumn and it's a very different scenario. You get metal at the bottom now, which are the animal signs' core strength or core energy of the monkey and the rooster in particular, and they immediately come paired with water on top, right? So that's why suddenly you get a very strong fire field, and it drops or it transits very rapidly to a metal water field. Now, normally the summer to autumn transition is very unique because you have in a sense the two elements appearing together, especially as we get to the second half of summer, fire producing earth, and they appear together as a package, right? And then immediately you can say that there is a drop to the monkey month, right? But because this in a normal year, you wouldn't necessarily see the pairing of the water on top, the Ren water, the Yang water, and in a year outside of a year like the dragon and maybe one or two other animal signs, you don't get that triggering and activation of water, but you do get this transition state to the last purposeful execution, decisive action nature, which is very much Yang metal or Keng metal. You get that, let's summarize and wrap up, and let's do our wrap up of work, get this done so that we can basically harvest. So normally in the normal autumn start, the start of the autumn season, you get this sort of feel, but not this year. This year suddenly you get a deluge of water coming up. Yeah, it's interesting. Laurie says she's watching from Japan, and there was a 7.1 magnitude, some sort of earthquake, right, in Japan. So I of course I cannot access that info at this moment, right, while I'm live, right? So maybe the people at home can actually check out more into it. So, and then, but thanks for that info, yeah, Laurie. So you get this rapid transition occurring amongst other phenomena, which we'll talk about, okay? But water is basically gaining strength very quickly, and it will be very strong, much ahead of a typical year, okay, at this point of the year. So of course the water element associated with emotions, that's one major thing, right? Where is it that we are heightened in terms of that? So I personally felt it for days already, right, up to about a week. And then if you have as well, do let me share. And I know that, like I said, I was talking to my clients and all that, they feel it as well, the overall, you can say instability, right, of the year. It's a very non-linear year and a very powerful dragon year itself, right? Now, I would also link water with the elixir of life, because it is, right? It is basically the element or the thing that connects us all as human beings interacting with other realms, the animal realm, right? The spirit realm, right? The extraterrestrial realm, and so on, right? The connection here, right, is basically through water, right? And because of that, the linkage is also through this element that we loosely call water, right? Because you may have heard, right? Of course, everyone knows that water is an elixir of life. It's the potion of life, and it's also containing cosmic intelligence. Right? So if you want to trace the presence of water in space, for example, in other planets and so on, right, then this is basically the element that many scientists and so on, we believe that it links us all, right, intergalactically, right, to other planets, to other living beings, and so on and so forth, right? So that's why it's such a powerful element, and it's associated in so many ways, right? But of course, on its basic level, you can look at it as emotion. So that's going to be where it is mostly going to be activated in terms of our emotions, how we feel and how we feel, essentially, right? And of course, because it's as Jessie was sharing in the new moon update that we did do together in Pattaya, Thailand, right? It is coming with the root of it, which is metal. Metal produces water, appears together in the water monkey itself. So that's why connecting back to where and how these emotions arise at the root of it is where we have the opportunity to tap deeply, so that then we can use this connection to the source, to the root, and right, exude it, activate it with the outer stuff. The outer stuff, right, whatever it is that's being triggered and allowed by the other aspects of the what we see in the year itself, of which one of it is going to be, just going back to here, right, of course connecting back to the dragon year itself, right? So dragon meets monkey, and the whole thing basically enhances water, also squeezing out a rat. So what do we have here? So we have basically the earth of the dragon itself. The earth of the dragon is the wealth to the theme of the year, wealth to the wood, the jia wood there, right? So that's going to, in a way, because you see it's earth element, right? And when the two animal signs come together, it is basically trying to activate water. It's trying to produce water. So you can see the imagery of the dissolution, right? The earth of the dragon has the chance to dissolve, crack up, and then also to dissolve, right? So you can see wealth there, right? And it becomes water, which is basically resource. At the same time, killings, which is basically the energy of the 7 killings of the yang metal that is in the monkey itself. This is all read in relation back to the year, the year heavenly stem. Like for a day master, for example. So if you're a Jia Wood day master, this is directly connecting to you in this specific way, right? So we extend this imagery to the year itself and how it reacts to the month. So we have killings, which is basically metal chopping wood, which is a key part of June, right? The direct energy of June has a lot of this energy of yang metal chopping Jia Wood. But in this case, instead of chopping it, the metal actually dissolves, right? There are many ways you can see this imagery. You can say that the sharpness of the metal is blunted. You can say that there is a space now. Imagine you're trying to chop wood underwater. So it becomes much more less, less effective, right? And you can also say that the metal dissolves, right? Melts, maybe that imagery of melting the water. It cannot chop the wood. Instead, it is now going to support it. So why? Because water grows wood, right? So now we have resources tending to the wood of the year. So we have this image here that is gathering resources. It's strengthening. Now, of course, it's not growing it because it's out of season. We cannot really say water is growing wood. But image-wise, we can see that it's supporting it in terms of resources, in terms of strengthening. So this is not a month to go out and charge and do things. It's a month to strengthen your resources, realign, gather strength. So those are the keywords that come to me as I'm sharing this, as I was doing the evaluation, preparing for the newsletter, which is out. Okay, it is about our ability to gather and reconnect back to the root, to the source, and also to re-stabilize ourselves, so that then we can move it on to the more friendlier combination energies next month, and then at the same time we can prepare for the big clash of the dog month with the dragon year, which is coming out in October. So that's going to be where the shifts are done physically, right? In the reality, in the constructs that we have in our life, right? It means the structures that we have organized. So that's going to be mostly enacted in October. But this is where we have now the opportunity to discover it. What is it that we still need to do so that we can live the best meaningful spiritual life that we can for period 9, right? In this first year of the period itself. Okay, so this month is very powerful for those opportunities. And it comes with many other aspects which support this examination, realization opportunity that we have that is linked to our emotions that are triggered, and what we need to do and how we need to go ahead to discover more about what these emotions mean. Okay, so supporting this, of course, is the new moon. We spoke about this. We did a Facebook Live together in Pattaya. So look back at it. It is in the few postings before this. It is supported by the new moon itself, which was on August 4th, right? Of which the theme was about options and recalibration, because having this new moon, which is again the starting of the 7th lunar month, right? It's the ghost month itself. It's the opening of the humans portal itself, right? Which is where we are in terms of the transition into the August itself now, right? So with the humans portal open, it's also the conjunction of the 7th lunar month. Now, it doesn't always start right before, but in this year it does. Sometimes it starts a bit later, right? Because there's leap months and all that. So it's very powerful because now we're looking into our own personal ghosts, okay? Instead of externalizing it as spirits and all that, which is of course one layer, one manifestation of it. So this is where we look into the ghosts which are haunting our inner self, like our inner demons as well, right? And then other things, right? So for example, from Western astrology, I said that we are in Leo season, yes, okay, where we are evaluating where we want to go as souls, okay? But it's charged up because there is a connection here with Mars and also Jupiter, both happening in the sign of Gemini. Now, what does that mean? It means there's a lot of thoughts, there's a lot of mind, logic and reason which is triggered, which again, if we're not careful, right, we are actually connecting our mind, and if our egoic mind is overpowering, then we will actually be triggering our ego more so than anything. So that's why it's a fine balance between charged personal will, what you want to achieve as your own soul, as a soul that is either empowered or seeking empowerment, right? But it's a fine balance between that and an inflated ego. So this is something to really watch out for the whole entire month itself, right? Which of course is heightened as we move, as we are triggering the activation of the Lion's Gate today itself, right? So then, with this, what makes the new moon even more powerful? Remember, the new moon is basically the start of the lunar month, which will peak in the full moon, right? Of all that, from that perspective. But with this as well, right at the start of the new moon is also the start of this season's Mercury retrograde. Now, Mercury, of course, goes retrograde 3 times a year. So it can occur at any point in the year, and it will keep shifting, right? Depending on the year itself. So just so happens for now, this second one of the year occurs as the new moon basically starts, the dark moon, right? A couple of days ago, a few days ago in fact, right? On August 4th and August 5th. Now because it happens at that point, the start of the retrograding happened in this particular season, right? It starts in where the season or the sun is in Leo, but the planet Mercury is in Virgo, which is basically the position, the star sign after Leo. Okay, now this is significant only because for this retrogradation, that means Mercury, the planet itself, right, if you observe it, it will look like it's moving backwards in a very, how to say, imbalanced, unstable, because Mercury is of the water element, right? It will move and shake, but overall the net effect, if we look at it from planet Earth over some time, over hours and days, right, you'll see that it is going backwards, right? It's cycling like that. Normally we have the graph, but I didn't have enough time to prepare for it, right? So that's why it will be a period of instability. So certain things which are always associated with, but not only, and certainly not the most important thing about each Mercury retrograde, is the disconnection, right? Flights being rescheduled, right? Like for example, right, those of you who are with our Soul's Journey in Nepal, you would have heard.
Yay!
All right, so many suddenly, you know, as it came in only yesterday, right? Suddenly we were told that, you know, whatever bookings that we had is rescheduled, and not just rescheduled by, normally, you know, rescheduling, you know, like Air Asia and all that, it would be like hours, right? Sometimes up to half a day. But this is like moved by 2 days, 3 days and all that. So already we're like, oh dear, what's happening?
I'm just messaging with Pauline.
Right? Yeah, and I think, yeah, Pauline was the first to react to it, and very quickly, very proactively so, right, in the way that she is like addressing the problem. I think she was the first one, in fact. Right. Then later on, everyone, and we're still actually dealing and trying to understand why. Brian, for example, has been updating us that his so far is unchanged. So why? Who knows? Okay. But this is part of the retrograde, right? Because here we are in the energy that is, we can say outwardly it manifests as mess and delays, rescheduling, miscommunications, right? People misunderstanding each other and all that, because that's all the energy of immediate connection that is water element, right? Associated with Mercury. But of course, everything happens for a particular reason. So in this case, it has got to do with the fact that during this very powerful month, we're supposed to slow down. We're supposed to reflect. We're supposed to generate options. These are some of the key terms, right? And the options are within this context. Stronger underlying energy is the energy of seriousness. There is all this that's for us to review. First, of course, to be triggered so that we can review and we can reassess. But what is it for? Right? Underlying the fundamental change is all about aligning for the meaningful, aligning for the longer term, aligning for what we want, you can say loosely, for period 9. So you keep hearing this theme over and over again, right? But what is period 9? Period 9 is all about getting real. It's all about getting connected to enlightenment, right? What is it that is meaningful, powerful, and spiritual, right? Even though that term sometimes can mean many different things for many different people. So that's why it's about reshaping. Because if we want to be aligned with our core values, which is another theme of the movement, changes, and discovery in the past couple of years, right? Getting aligned back towards our real core values. We want to do that, then we have to basically reshape our lives. Reshape our lives in terms of what? Our mindset, how we view the things that happen to us, right? And of course, in a more outward, day-to-day level, it's about what we do with our personal energy. And for many of us, our personal energy is involved in our career and work. What is it that you want to do for the rest of your life? And you need to basically exchange energy to get back energy of food, comfort, security, and all that, right? Through some work and career. So nothing is as real as that for all of us. So that's why for many of us, it's about realigning our work and career. And many of us who are reluctant to do that, have not done that, or is taking very small, safe baby steps to do it, you would feel more and more misaligned as the days roll by. And because this is the year that is fast rolling by, and it's the first year that really strongly establishes and gives us the opportunity to clear out and really rapidly change, right? In terms of all of these things, we need to embrace it. So that's why please work with the energy of the monkey, the water monkey, in this context as well, right? So that's why other contexts here, right, we see that, I'll just summarize really quickly, when Venus, planet that is all about how we exchange energy, right, with other people, the relationships in our life, what we do, how we appreciate life, and how we deal with the 5 senses of life, right? That's all underpinned by Venus, which is a very air/metal energy, right? When it's in the sign of Virgo, it's about our routine. Again, routine very much closely linked to how we spend our energy daily. And how we spend our energy daily has a lot to do with the majority of us being in the working age, exchanging it in terms of the work that we do, the career that we have. Right? Those of us who are retired, then again, it will be more about daily life, but we know that the true soul never truly retires. Those of us who are in school, it is about what we are doing daily and what we're supposedly preparing our adult life for in school. So that's why it will affect school performance and do that and things like that. And the energy here, in summary, about the second bullet point, is about the details. It's about our routine. It's about our habits. What bad habits that we need to quickly get rid of and crack up. What good habits where we should inculcate and master more of, again, for the type of life that we want to come in the next 19 plus more years. Yeah, and occurring with this, of course, with this so-called square, and in fact, squares are tension points. They are very much like destructions in 八字, okay, because there are tension points, which is a smaller version of a clash. Okay, so that's what a square is. So at the same time, there is 2 things happening. So there's a connection to Jupiter, which is Tai Sui, right? But at the same time, the square, Tai Sui is squaring Saturn in Pisces. And Saturn in Pisces means, again, what we do that is a long-term thing, like work, career, how we use our daily energy, what roles and responsibilities do we play. And in the sign of Pisces means that at the depths of, because Pisces is the last Western horoscope astrology sign, right? Right at the end, what is the soul supposed to achieve? So that's why it's about spirituality overall. And this energy gives us then that layer that helps us realign. Realign means what? We have to break up, release, change, transform, and make anew. Now, all of this, of course, comes with what? It comes with discomfort, right? So, and you see this underlying a lot of the key interaction of the planets when we look at it from the Western astrology perspective. But I just want to highlight the planets in this case, okay, in summary. So square, and also square, right? All tension points that is meant to shake up and give us the opportunity to break and change even before the clash month occurs in October. So while in Chinese astrology, we see the clash month going to happen only in October, right? But we see the perspective of the movement and changes which are happening and which are leading to October, you can also say that, but also within the month of August, they can be enacted. Why? Because water is about instability, water is about no shape, no form, right? You see the dragon that's being dissolved in the water, right, or has the potential to dissolve in the water, that is suddenly gushing, right, for August itself, right? So we see that as an opportunity to dissolve and also to reshape. Of course, reshaping itself takes some time, isn't it? But this is going to be the month where this precedence is set, you can say that, right? Or it's the first level of the changes that we need to make. Again, I know that for those of you who are hoping that the year is linear, right? Yao change, right? Again, August is about change and deeper examination, but it's that type of year, because the dragon is that sort of animal sign that is here to teach us and give us those opportunities for reshaping and change, right? So we see Tai Sui basically interacting with Saturn, what I just mentioned just now, 5 minutes ago, and this activates, gives energy to, energizes the fine-tuning of the deeper meaning in key areas of life. That means anchored down with the deeper meaning, more spiritual perspective to life. Now the energy gives us our ability to fine-tune those key areas of life. For many of us, it's got to do with our work, career, and what we exude on a day-to-day basis, our mindset, for example, our behaviors, our habits, right? And then you see this already centering around the August 15 to 24 timing, which again is about what? It's about a week from now on, right? So you see that starting to occur. So you see that means if you're flowing, right? Because water is all about flow, right? If you are in tune, because water is about that, right? Being in tune with our, especially with our emotions, isn't it? If you're in tune, if you're flowing, then you know that these would be the changes that is playing out already now and will be heightened as we move into the next week or so, right? But then it is also activated by other perspectives as well. So Uranus in Taurus. Now Uranus is the planet of change and sudden jolts. So that's why, if there are earth activity, right, earthquakes and all that, it is again quite common when Uranus is activated, especially in an earth sign like Taurus. But in simpler terms, right, it means shake-ups, sudden changes. That means if you are enacting the change, it will be suddenly, and the empowerment is there to be like, okay, now we're going to make that change, right? If not, it's going to be a forced change and it will feel like it comes out of left field, okay? And Taurus is about, again, related to the energy of the senses. It's about our physical reality, right? It's about our personal values and so on, right? And this is interacting in a square, again, tension points, which can be opportunities for changes, but if not, there will be breakups and so on that is enforced. But if we use it proactively, we are the ones who are making use of the energy for these changes and so on, right? So, and it's squaring, which means it has a tension point with Mercury retrograde, the theme of these few weeks that started on August 4th and 5th. Okay, so that's why reviewing, assessing, making changes to details of our routines, our habits, and so on within the context of our larger structures of life, our work and career, for example, and it is basically the time to shake things up or opportunities that is here for us to make those shakeups and changes, right? And one more here, right? Now Mars and Venus as well. Now Mars and Venus is our feminine principle and masculine principle immediately available to us, okay? The combination of our active energy powered by our soul, okay? So that's again having a square, right? They square each, they square, they can square each other depending on where it is, okay, of the period of August itself, and they are both also squaring Jupiter and Gemini. They're taking turns to do that. They're actually having a tension point, a period of a debate, you can call it, right? Trying to realign each other with Tai Sui, because Jupiter is still the planet associated with Tai Sui, which is the core energy of the year. So imagine the core energy of the year now is going to, in the period of August 18th to 24th, thereabouts, plus minus, and throughout, effectively for the rest of the month of August itself, is going to talk to our feminine principle, our masculine principle, and it's going to try to negotiate, which means that, again, it's going to be where uncomfortable things or discomfort comes up, right? Realizations between our active masculine principle that wants to dominate, and then within the feminine principle that wants to listen and observe and also receive. Okay, so that's going to already add on to the layer of the energies there, right? So overall, lots of stuff happening, right? Then last but not least, okay, we also have the lead up, of course, from the new moon all the way to the full moon occurring within the human's portal of August. And of course, it is this cycle is the 7th lunar month itself, right? So all of this is going to peak with the full moon energy there occurring on August 18 and 19 with all those themes that we talked about, with all those layers of energy, right? And then of course at this moment of time there is the one that is the most heightened, that's unique to occur at the full moon point, right? Is the square of Uranus in Taurus with the full moon and the sun, okay? The full moon in Aquarius and the sun in Leo. Okay, what does that mean? So tension points between our core soul self, which is more outward, right? And then of course a full moon is all about the balance of that with the internal self, which is heightened, the yin lunar energy at the full moon, which is always the opposite during a full moon from where the sun is. The sun and moon are on opposite spectrums of the point, giving a balanced perspective, heightening the yin energy to balance our outer yang energy. And that's always a very beautiful cycle. That's why full moons are where our internal self speaks to the external self, where our real humanness is trying to communicate with the egoic self, right? So that's a full moon, right? It happens every lunar cycle as the universe arranged. Okay, and this point for this particular full moon, very powerfully also activating the square. That means the discomfort, the tension, and also the opportunity, the change that comes from the discomfort and tension of Uranus in Taurus. Again, Uranus itself is about jumping to the next level, breakthroughs and so on, associated with Aquarius, associated with period 9. Right? Where is it that we need to crack up, and change in terms of our personal, in alignment with our personal values, so that we can basically lead a more meaningful life. So, long story short, you hear this same theme over and over again. Many of us are pursuing this already, right? Things which are meaningful to us. Many of us also are in between. We feel that we want to make our lives more meaningful, but we hold ourselves back for what? Usually it's for a fear-based reason, right? I must maintain this job because I need this. And a lot of it will be valid reasons. It will be for money, it will be for a certain level of income because we feel that we need it, we feel that our family needs it, we feel that the people under our care, our children need it. But is that really true for your soul? So that's a question that, again, you get this same question that is like a last-minute reminder that the dragon gives us. The dragon year allows us this, gives us this opportunity. Now, of course, we resist it, it's uncomfortable. We see blockages, we see troublesomeness, right? But if we honor it and we respect it, right? This is really where, again, is this asking you, look, this is what you want for the next 20 years, right? It's asking us, are you sure? I mean, amongst many other things, right? Like I said, the ego is highly triggered. And the fine line between where the ego, it needs needs is okay and we have to honor it. But where is it that it is just inflated and acting out of its just being egoic, right? It's a very fine balance that we have to find ourselves now. But the year itself keeps telling us the same thing. Are you sure this is what you want for the next 19 years? So really take a step back in this very powerful month to actually really address this before the year suddenly is over. And we know that with time flying by so fast, right? It's going to be like suddenly, like for us, of course, because we have to do a lot of preparation for next year, right? And it comes like now. I started like a few weeks back after the second half starts, right, of the year. Then we are more in tune, I guess, naturally so. And if you follow metaphysics, you are also a step above other people for that energy connection, because it's intent. Your intent is that I know that the energy is there, and I believe in astrology, I believe in feng shui, whatever it is, right? I believe there's a higher order to things, right? You're already in tune with it, so you tap into the energy faster. But for many people, they're not. So they will have a delay reaction to things, right? So lo and behold, suddenly the year will be over. So just remember that the time to act and be real, like it's here, and we have to honor it. Okay, but loosely, so you can see the timeline here. So from yesterday for about a week out, right? It is where we need to be observant, right? We need to honor our emotions, which are strongly triggered. Okay, and then we take the opportunity to assess and review. Is it true? Is it true? Is it not true? Is it a projection? Is it fear-based? Do I need to change? What do I need to change? So all these are assess and review, right? Period for all of us. So then when we hit all those square everywhere, and we get into the peak of the leading into the peak of the monkey month, right? If you look at it from a Chinese astrology perspective, and then working with the lunar cycle peak of the lunar energy at the very powerful full moon, then this is where we have all these shake-ups, opportunity to shake up. So we can use this to shake things up, or we are shooken up ourselves. So this will occur around the period of 14 to 28. But proactively, of course, we can use this period to proactively release, destruct, destroy. Then, of course, within this, the opportunity to transform and reshape is there. Now, all of this, of course, takes work. Okay, so make full use of the energy. Then it becomes a bit more stable after Mercury goes direct on about August 28, 29, thereabouts. And then once the energy of all those changeability, the instability and all that, right, start to stabilize again. So this will be at the end of August until we move into the rooster month on around September 6th, 7th, thereabouts. Okay, so that last week, there should be some breathing space, but of course don't waste it. Use it as follow through whatever changeabilities, whatever movement and whatever transformation that we are undergoing, and then of course stabilize it. So that would be just a rough guide as to how we want to use the timeline, okay, for August itself. Right? Any questions? Any comments? I see Chumpon said that the year is full of turbulences already. It's that type of the year, so try to honor it, right? Try to work with it. Mindy Yip says hi, yes, from California, hi to you. That's why I love overnight sessions, right? Because people out from the West can actually participate as opposed to during the daytime, right? Polling is here, hi to you. We're just talking about the example there, right? And then material-wise, so that's all I have to share. Bulk of it is that. So very, very powerful month indeed, okay? So, yeah, right? It's less. We went in about 5 minutes late, okay?
Still.
So now we're done with that. Like I said, any questions, any comments, any sharings, please do while we are in the last segment for today's live. Okay, in the meantime, of course, working with this energy, right, we shift into the more review and reflective nature of the year, working with that. So you see more of the workshops that we have that's going to be more in tune with that. Some of it will be directly addressing the review and assessment energy of metal, which is air, which is related to autumn. And some of it is just because, you know, this is where we roll out certain things because it's timely to do so. Hi to you, Xiang Ling, right? So first coming up on Saturday, right, is the first level, okay, of the tarot. the tarot programs that we have, which just normally we put it more for the second half because it's a bit about self-discovery, it's about contemplation, it's about review. So very, very, very timely. And again, it just so happened, right? We are in autumn and at the same time, schedule-wise and all that. So Tarot Core, which is your first level entry, discover your soul card. And you don't need a tarot deck for this because from your birth data calculation, you will know that you fall into 9 soul categories, right? So discover and reinforce it because this will help us, right? Like, for example, I'm the hermit. So I have to, oh yeah, that's my soul purpose. So whatever it is, whatever egoic transgressions are, like sometimes we get carried away, we just want to achieve more, we overstep our bound, whatever it is, right? Or we're too impatient because, the humans, right? We have all these aspects to us. So then we have to re-anchor back. And re-anchoring is going to be very important for this month of August, right? So, and if you don't know your soul card, discover what it is, your core and you, right? In this very simple workshop, there's again designed as an entry, very, very easy entry into the world of tarot, which is super fascinating, right? So I know many of you have signed up for this, right? But do note that this offer of just 50 ringgit for a 3-hour session with Jessie, going through the soul cards with you, right? This price itself will expire tomorrow midnight. So do sign up for it. I know sometimes the entry level, the simple workshops, people tend to delay until the last minute. So, but don't forget about it. Okay. So Tarot Core is happening at 2 p.m. on Saturday, August 10th, and then the next afternoon, okay, is something that we're launching, right? Which I am very excited to helm. And then with the excitement, I get a little nervous. Okay, because it's the first time we'll be doing this. And particularly because it's going to be online as well, right? So we're going to discover how to use our voices properly and why doing this, right? Harnessing the power of the voice and developing the power of the voice will also help us in creating the life that we want to achieve and we want to live. It'll help us in our manifestation and all that. So, and it's something that as I'm discovering it also, and I am learning new things, I get reactivated in terms of certain parts which are exciting. At the same time also, it's always a lesson to me as well, from my personal perspective and from the professional. Professional means that, I know this, that about the voice, I know it's got, we talk about the throat chakra and how that's important. Then I also am triggered about other aspects which like makes it all very exciting and alive. Okay, so I will be very excited to share some simple vocalization techniques with you, right? And also all this information which is currently being collated and finalized for you, right? So this is happening on August 11th at 2:30, right? So it will be a bit of theory and it will be practical as well. So it's going to be a mix of both. And you can do this, of course, it's online. So anywhere in the world and in the comfort of your own space, your own safe space, you can discover if you're not used to it. If you are somebody who's undergone public speaking, even speaking lessons, singing lessons and all that, so some of the concepts of course will be a bit of a review, but because we're looking at it from an energy perspective and specifically a manifestation perspective, so those will give you that. This short workshop will give you those perspectives. So again, many of you have signed up for it, so thank you so much. And again, it's highly recommended to all Souls Journey Nepal students. So if you have not signed up or if you missed your email reminder and all that, remember that this is also recommended for you to use the tap into the power of your voice, especially with the manifestation possibilities of beautiful sacred Nepal. Okay, so that's happening on Sunday, August 11th, yeah? And speaking of happening, right, so finally, we are at this very special program, our 3 days, 2 nights, in-person, on-ground program, breakthrough program, right, which was specially selected to be in August this year. First level was, okay, where can we practically fit something outside of the happening first half of the year, right? First few months of the year. Then we discovered that, by the time we lined up many other classes, it's already in the second half, and then Jessie had the idea, let's do it during the Lunar 7 month, right? Because we basically working our, exercising our inner demons, right? So that's why 7th Lunar month gives us the opportunity to do so. And then of course, with all the other things that fell into place, right? Of which I've been sharing all throughout tonight's session as well, all those strong, powerful energies that we have to let us make those breakthroughs. Okay, so this is something that's coming up very fast, suddenly we're like, okay, now we have to get it all sorted and finalized for next week. Okay, this is happening next weekend, August 16 to 18, our Power Up Your Life, which is in beautiful Song Yen in Bukit Tinggi area, which is only about 40 minutes on a clear traffic day from KL. And many of you already have participated. We have exceeded our, with numbers compared to last year, so we're very happy about it. Thank you so much if you've signed up for it. We can still accept a few more spots. So if you were sitting on the fence, not sure about this, that, but suddenly you can commit to this, please do so, right? And we look forward to seeing you in Song Yen in Bukit Tinggi next weekend. Okay, so that's Power Up Your Life, right? So meanwhile, that's all I have for the formal sharing today. Just a quick last check. Any other comments or questions? Nothing there, right? On the page. Okay, and just a quick check here as well. So, okay, wonderful, right? Thank you so much. Hi, Elaine. And hi to everyone else who have not said anything yet but have been watching and supporting this. It's time for me to go. It's right pretty much on the hour because I came in a bit late, right? And thank you so much. Have a wonderful Water Monkey Renshen month. It already started. Make full use of its powerful energies, okay? And all the best in that effort to you. Thank you so much. Good evening. Goodbye. Take care.